Build the million-dollar consciousness and let miracles in. You can begin today to build the million-dollar consciousness that will immediately enrich your life and bring you the miracles of money, fame, and glory. When your higher psychic mind centers are programmed with the million-dollar consciousness, you will see astounding revelations in your personal and business life. This awareness of your great potentials will instantly change your life from one of lack and limitation to one of infinite possibilities for riches. The word consciousness is from the Latin word conscriere, which means to be aware. An awareness of your unlimited possibilities for making $1 million, as well as the fact that you can begin at this moment to think, live and act as though you were already in possession of a fortune, assures you that this can become an immediate reality. You already possess the universe and all therein. The truth of the matter is that at this moment, you do possess the universe and all therein. This is as true for you as it is for any millionaire. You have access to the same wisdom and knowledge that helped them to accumulate millions. You can use this knowledge now to enrich your consciousness so that you will be inspired to build a fortune. Build the million-dollar consciousness. You have the same breathing space, the same food and shelter available to you as any person who has amassed a fortune. You can enrich your life to the degree that you may utilize all these various elements for your own use, comfort, and enjoyment. You can turn on a radio or TV set and immediately command a symphony orchestra to perform for you, or a ballet company to delight you with its beauty, grace, and motion. An opera star like Joan Sutherland or Luciano Pavarotti can give you a magnificent performance in Tosca or Lucia de Lammermoor at your bidding. Just as the Queen of England can order people to do a command performance for her sole enjoyment, this royal prerogative is also yours. You can turn on the electric switch of your radio or TV and have a 150-piece orchestra conducted by Maestro Toscanini, Leopold Stokowski, or Arthur Fiedler play a concerto for your sole enjoyment. These great men are no longer with us, but the $1 million worth of enjoyment and inspiration they have left behind can bring you benefits for the rest of your life. This awareness of your $1 million heritage instantly enriches your life. Claim the riches of the universe as your very own. To build the $1 million consciousness immediately, you can claim the riches of the universe as your very own at this moment. You can begin to think, act, and live like a millionaire, even though you have very little money in the bank or very few material possessions. Here is how to build the $1 million consciousness. Start a weekly schedule in which you concentrate on a new facet of consciousness enrichment each day. Sit quietly in a meditation session and focus your subconscious mind power on the treasures of the universe, things that you might purchase if you really had a fortune. Each day for the next week, claim the treasures of the universe for your very own. Make positive statements that will program your subconscious and psychic mind centers with the true reality of these treasures that you now claim for your own. Write down each day's treasure claims and read the day's statement several times during the day, particularly when you awaken in the morning and just before you retire at night. Use the following prosperity magic programming statements for each day of the week, and quickly you will respond to the miracle power of your higher mind that can bring you $1 million worth of enjoyment every day. Monday. I now claim all public parks, beaches, and streams as my very own. I am aware that these beautiful areas are mine to use and to enjoy, as much as if I owned them. I am aware of the trees, the flowers, the little creatures who live in these parks. They give me great joy and satisfaction. I walk through these beautifully landscaped gardens and parks, knowing that I can share them with others. I now claim that these are my treasures and estates, knowing that they were created for my use and enjoyment. I go on picnics with my family and friends. I take pride in their natural beauty and am enriched by the awareness that I can utilize these treasures as if they were my very own. Why this prosperity magic statement will work for you. The reason this prosperity magic statement works for you is simple. It imprints upon your higher consciousness the fact that you already possess an estate that is worth millions. If you had $1 million, what would you do? You would probably buy a large estate in some exclusive section of town, where you would erect a high fence to keep people out. You would employ one or more gardeners to keep the landscape of your estate in perfect condition. The cost of upkeep would be tremendous, and only you and your family could enjoy it. A millionaire built a vast fortune, but could he enjoy it? I once lived near Conrad Hilton in Bel Air, California. Down the road where I often walked with my dog, he had a sumptuous estate of many acres. A huge wall surrounded the many acres, and a high iron fence had a sign at the entrance that said, "Keep out." These gates electrified. Several gardeners worked daily to care for the expensive shrubs and flowers. There were trees that had been imported from Australia, and rare plants that required a great deal of care. In all the many years I passed by that estate, I never once saw any child playing on the vast expanse of lawn before the enormous stone house that cost $2.5 million to build. I never saw people entering or leaving the estate, for Hilton was usually in some distant place attending to his international chain of hotels. Although Hilton came to my home several times to parties that I gave for Hollywood celebrities, only once did he open the doors of his home for a big party to which I was invited. The beautifully furnished home was cold and lifeless, without the sounds of friendly voices or children's happy laughter. That home recently sold for $15 million. The taxes on that home are $45,000 a year. The upkeep in servants and utilizes runs into the thousands. You may have longed to own such an estate, but now realize that you can have all the benefits with none of the headaches that you would have if you had worked and slaved to have your own mansion and estate. Prosperity miracle number 1. A maid and butler built the $1 million consciousness. Once, when I lectured in Carnegie Hall, a husband and wife sought me for counseling. They worked as a maid and butler for a very wealthy man who had an estate in a wooded section of New Jersey. The man lamented, "Each day I drive Mr. Big Shot to Wall Street, where he makes more millions. Then I return to his home, his estate, and work to keep it up for him. My wife and I have been employed by him for the past 20 years, and we have nothing to show for it but years of hard work and enslavement." I then asked this couple, "Do you eat your meals in that home?" The wife replied, "Oh, yes. I am also the cook, so we have filet mignons, shrimp cocktail, lamb chops, roasts, and the finest of foods. We eat as well as he does, but because he has indigestion from worrying about his stocks going up and down, he cannot eat much and he doesn't enjoy his food. But my husband and I enjoy it very much." I remarked, "Then you're eating like millionaires, even though you don't have all of his money." They looked at me with startled expressions, as though they were beginning to comprehend already what I was going to tell them. Then I said to the man, "When you drive the limousine to work each day, do you ever take little side trips for your own enjoyment?" He thought for a moment and then replied, "Yes, I often go to visit friends in the city, and sometimes I take them for rides to impress them." I said, "Then you are actually driving a limousine that you often use for your own enjoyment. Do you have to pay for the gasoline, the tires, and the repair work on the car?" "Oh, no, I couldn't afford that," he exclaimed. "But you have the use of a fine car, a magnificent home, luxurious gardens, and the finest of foods. So really you're living like millionaires, aren't you?" I asked. Also, this man had come into my office smoking a fine Havana cigar. So I said, "And I'll bet you have access to his fine, expensive cigars. Probably you take an occasional sip of his best wines and whiskeys. You enjoy the comfort of his expensive furniture, his leather-bound books, and whatever art treasures he has in his home." By this time, both the husband and wife were aware of what I meant, which I now expressed in words. In other words, you are both enjoying the luxury of this man's private estate, his limousine, his food and liquor, and at the same time you're being paid for these privileges. Now don't you really think that you're living like millionaires? Then they expressed the crux of the reason for their discontent. The man said, "Yes, this is true, but we don't own any of these things. They're not ours. They belong to him. And when he dies, where will we be?" To make a long story short, a few months later, I picked up the New York Times and read a headline that said, "Millionaire dies, leaves huge estate to maid and butler." The couple who had visited me some months before had been named in the rich man's will as his sole heirs. Their employer had no children, and his wife had died some years before. The millionaire had undoubtedly shortened his life by many years in his efforts to grow richer and richer. Now his maid and butler would reap the benefits of all that sacrifice. Tuesday. Today I lay claim to all public transportation systems and make them my own. I can ride on these trains, buses, subways, and streetcars for a few cents. I can have the most expensive limousine in the world to transport me wherever I want to go. No chauffeur-driven Rolls-Royce is as expensive or efficient as the transit system that takes me to work or to the beaches, or transports me to places of entertainment and enjoyment. Enrich your mind first. Then enrich your life. When you program your higher mind centers with this million-dollar consciousness, you stop worrying about not having an expensive car and begin instantly to enjoy what you do have. Now, this does not mean that you should stop having the desire for a fine car of your own, but simply that you should act as though this were already a reality. In this way, your psychic centers will be stimulated to work harder to create a big enough income for you, so you can afford to buy yourself a fine automobile and be able to maintain it. Also, to help you build the awareness of the fine car that you will own one day, every time you see a beautiful car, mentally claim it by stating, "I now magnetize my mind centers with a desire for a beautiful car. I ask for psychic guidance for the money to buy such a car." Prosperity miracle number 2. Young actor attracted a Mercedes with this system. When I was advising many of the stars of Hollywood about these prosperity magic secrets, a young actor came to me to learn how he could program a career for himself as a future star. He told me he had a real need for a car so that he could go to studios for interviews, but that he could not afford the type of car he thought he should have to impress people. I told him how to lay claim to the finest car he could imagine. He wanted a Mercedes, but wondered how could he ever obtain enough money to buy it. He began building the million-dollar consciousness by using the prosperity magic statements given above. Each day he wrote down this positive mental energizer. I now magnetize my mind to bring me a Mercedes so that I can be seen in a car of quality by important people. One day he was driving down Sunset Boulevard when he saw a Mercedes on a used car lot. He was impelled to stop and ask the price. It was so low that he was shocked, until he learned that a rock group had recently owned the car and that it was in need of a great deal of motor work. It was being sold as it was for only a few $100s. It just so happened that this young actor had a hobby of repairing cars, taking whole motors apart and putting them together again. He bought the car and restored it to perfect condition. He was able to so impress the agents and casting directors at the studios that he was summoned within the first week he owned the car to an interview for a substantial part in a picture with a very big star. That started him on the road to a great career that still continues. Claim the world's knowledge in your public library. Wednesday. Today I claim all the wisdom and knowledge in the books and magazines that are in the public libraries. I may instantly build my consciousness by absorbing the great truths of all ages that are in this public depository of knowledge. This prosperity magic statement will make you aware that you have the finest books that have ever been written without paying a cent for them. Imagine tapping the wisdom of Shakespeare, Socrates, Darwin, Leonardo da Vinci, Charles Dickens, Voltaire, Lord Byron, and Robert Louis Stevenson, as well as millions of other volumes that are waiting for you in your local library. If you had $1 million in cash, you probably could not buy the books that are in an average-sized library in most cities and towns. You are already richer than a potentate of the Far East. Not only can you know the history of art, music, literature, science, invention, politics, history, and religion, but you can keep yourself up to date on all the latest knowledge about our modern space age, the latest discoveries in the fields of science, economics, medicine, electronics, and industry. Truly, your million-dollar consciousness will then reveal that you are richer than any potentate of the Far East, who never knew the marvels of modem air travel, TV, radio, motion pictures, telephone, air conditioning, plastics, and electricity. You are already enjoying the luxuries and comforts of these recent scientific discoveries, and therefore you can count yourself as being richer than the richest men and women who lived 100 or more years ago. To further add to this million-dollar consciousness, each day you should study something new, learn a new word, a new fact, and investigate the miracles of the world of today. Begin to show gratitude for the many riches that are already yours, which you are apt to take for granted. Command the great talents of the world to perform for you. Thursday. Today I claim all forms of entertainment that exist in radio, television, theaters, sports arenas, and other media. With a flick of a switch, I can tune in on millions of dollars worth of entertainment daily. I can be entertained by the world's highest paid artists, comedians, singers, musicians, and dramatic actors all. These perform at my bidding. I claim all of these great forms of entertainment and education for my very own. For the day's subconscious programming, you need only write these words on a card. Today I claim all forms of entertainment that exist. Then on Thursday, read that statement several times a day, and keep in mind the millions of dollars worth of entertainment that you have on radio and TV, as well as in theaters and sports palaces, and you will suddenly develop an appreciation for all the kinds of entertainment that are yours, mostly for free. Friday. Today I claim all of the art treasures that exist in art galleries, museums, public exhibitions of sculpture and painting, and all other forms of art. I absorb the cultural treasures of all ages through reproductions of fine art in books and magazines. I become inspired and elevated in consciousness by sharing these great treasures from the past and present. They are mine to appreciate and enjoy, and my consciousness is enriched by these magnificent masterpieces. The richest person in the world may not own these treasures. No matter how many millions of dollars you may have, you can never buy the great art treasures that grace our world's famous galleries. Rubens, Tintoretto, Titian, Rembrandt, Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Raphael, Frans Hals, as well as some of our modern artists like Picasso and Dali. All these and more of the great artists of all time have painted their masterpieces for you to enjoy. To build the million-dollar consciousness and to be able to appreciate the beautiful art treasures of the world, you should enrich your consciousness by reading about the lives and works of the greatest artists of history. Each day will be a triumphant procession through the corridors of history, through which you can truly appreciate the masterpieces that have been created by the greatest artists of all time. You will then be able to dwell in a palace of the mind, even though you may not actually live in a mansion. As you build this million-dollar consciousness and long for art treasures, you will magnetize money and be able to buy those artistic treasures that you desire. He gave the world $300 million in treasures. In recent times, oil magnate J. Paul Getty gave $300 million worth of artistic masterpieces and an art gallery to the world. He himself lived in a mansion outside of London, and it is said that he installed pay telephones so that his guests would not make calls on his personal phone. He may have been frugal with his guests, but his consciousness appreciated the true values of life, and he wanted the world to benefit from the art masterpieces that had been created by geniuses. He truly had built a million-dollar consciousness that in turn brought him a fortune. Every day appreciate the bounties of nature, the gifts that God has showered upon mankind. The forests that supply us with lumber to build our homes and furnish them with beautiful furnishings, the water that nourishes our soil and brings food to sustain humanity, the seas that give abundantly of their treasures all. These forces of nature are working to supply you with every gift you need to enrich you and give you security. When you walk down the streets of your city or town, look in the jewelry store windows and claim the treasures that you see. You can magnetize the things you desire and soon have them. Use prosperity magic to imprint your desires on higher mind. Sit in quiet meditation each day and imprint the desires of the things you want upon your psychic mind centers. Use the following mental suggestion. I now desire the following things. Here state what they are. I know that these valuable treasures were created for me to use and enjoy. I ask my higher psychic mind to show me how I can obtain them. You can make a list of your desires, including the jewelry, the clothing, the car, the house furnishings, the color TV set, all the things that you wish to possess are already in existence now. To magnetize them, use the previously mentioned prosperity magic statements, and then sit back confidently and know that in some miraculous way, these possessions will come to you. Prosperity miracle number 3. Ruth M. used prosperity magic to achieve her cosmic blueprint of destiny. Ruth M. was in work that she considered boring, as a filing clerk in a law firm. There seemed to be no future for her, and when she took our course in prosperity magic, she listed the things she wanted in her cosmic blueprint of destiny. One of these was to become a fashion designer. She read over this blueprint each morning when she awakened and each night when she retired. She had no idea how she would ever become a designer, as she had only a high school education and no special talent. Her higher psychic mind, however, believed that she could be anything she wished, and in a few weeks' time, Ruth's uncle sent her a Christmas check of $2,000 to spend as she wished. The next week, when Ruth was looking through the paper, she saw an ad of a fashion designing school in New York. Something clicked in her mind and made her seek further information at the school. She enrolled in an evening course at the school and embarked on a thrilling 2-year study of designing. Ruth discovered she had hidden potentials, and after graduation she became a fashion artist. Her sketches for some of New York's biggest department stores appeared in leading newspapers. She was now on her way to achieving her lifetime dream, earning a big salary and enjoying her work immensely. If you have true love, you are richer than any millionaire. Saturday. Today I claim the emotional treasures that bring joy and beauty into my life. I accept the true friendship of all those people I meet socially. I claim the hearts and love of my family and my mate, and I now appreciate the sacrifices that others have made for me that have enriched my life in every way. I am blessed with $1 million worth of friends and loved ones. You may not think of the $1 million consciousness in terms of emotional treasures, but stop and think of the things that have brought you the greatest pleasure in life: the love of your children, your soulmate, your friends and co-workers. These are treasures that money cannot buy, that you can have without giving anything more than sincerity and love. Sunday. Today I claim the spiritual heritage that I have been promised by my Creator God. I am created in His image and likeness, and I now enrich my consciousness with the divine emotions of faith and love. Prayer and meditation are the channels through which I receive the golden treasures of peace of mind and peace of soul. My soul communicates with the soul of the universe, and I am guided through divine intuition to the fulfillment of my life's goals. Peace of mind and happiness, the spiritual gold of life. Many millionaires cannot have peace of mind and true happiness, and yet it is one of life's most precious treasures. To assure yourself of keeping these two most important elements in your own life, start each Sunday with the prosperity magic statement given above. All day keep foremost in your mind the fact that health and peace of mind, love of family and friends, and above all else, love of God, makes you already richer than any millionaire who ever lived. This formula is given in the Bible in these words: "Seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." Prosperity Magic Guidelines in Chapter 2. 1. You can build the $1 million consciousness that will begin to enrich your life immediately by programming your higher psychic mind centers. 2. Learn how you can possess the riches of the universe without great effort and how to benefit from them as much as millionaires do. Build the $1 million consciousness. 3. Learn the prosperity magic programming statements that give you the power to enjoy $1 million worth of benefits right now. 4. A multimillionaire built a vast fortune and lived in a fabulous mansion, but his life was not as rich as yours can be. 5. A butler and maid came into a fortune after they built the $1 million consciousness. 6. You can magnetize your brain centers to possess a fine home, a new car, or anything you desire. 7. A young actor used this prosperity magic secret and was able to obtain an expensive Mercedes car. 8. You can become richer than a potentate of the Far East and command all of life's art, music, literature, and other assets without a large balance of money in the bank. 9. You can use prosperity magic to imprint all your dreams and desires on a higher mind. 10. All the great values of life can be brought into your existence through prosperity magic, including romantic fulfillment, peace of mind, and soul serenity.